The Fantasy Football Week 4 starts at an NFL Best Bets edition of Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code OFFSGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to, this is J Mark. You can find me in the X at J Mark Football. And if you're wondering who us is, that's at Old Fashioned FB on the X. And I got to introduce my co-host on the pod and in life before we jump into everything that is week 4. And you can find her on the X at the Mark. How you doing today?
It's almost Friday.
It is almost Friday.
It's basically Friday.
Yeah, true.
Almost the weekend. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to another crazy week of football.
Another crazy week of football for sure. My voice feels a little shot, which is going to lead me to a story that I wanted to mention. We went to a concert last night. I screamed Dashboard Confessional like I was in my college emo years at the top of my lungs. So the voice is gone. But, we're out and about. Decided to go have a whiskey at the venue. And I was going there, and we were with our friends Josh and Haley. And Haley had forgotten, and Jen, sorry, Josh, Haley, and Jen. And Haley had forgotten to get Josh a water as he had requested. So I was going to go get whiskey. I said, I'll get it. Mm-hmm. So I go up to the lady, and she asked what she can get me. And I said, I'll get a double makers and water. And I said, and a water, but she heard and water. And so I'm like getting my wallet, not really paying attention. And I look up, and sure, here she is putting a bunch of water in my double makers. And this was like a red Solo cup size.
Like 20 ounce.
Yes. And she put a double shot of makers and then filled it to the top with water. It was not what I was hoping for. I'll just say that. Not what I was hoping for. But yeah, I mean, that's what I got, though. We got a couple questions coming in. Shout out to the chat. Wallace Crenshaw, welcome. He says, would you guys start Geno over Daniel Jones? We're going to kind of get into that Lions-Seahawks game. Mm-hmm. But the scores of that game, the past 3 years between the Lions and Seahawks have been insane. They've been high-scoring games. I think Geno threw 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards last time. Maybe it was only 2. But I would definitely start Geno just because I think it's going to be the same thing. Those teams seem to match up really well to where it's fireworks. So I would go Geno. Do you agree?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Watch this be the first time that it's like a super low score.
Right.
But no, I would agree with that. I would go Geno.
Yep, I think so too. And I mean, he's been throwing bombs to DK Metcalf left and right as well. So yeah, thanks for checking in, Wallace. We appreciate you. Nick saying, I was informed from a host of this show that I shouldn't start any players against them. I feel this is not a good decision. I'm not sure what you mean, but all right, Mr. Fortune. And shout out to Jamie. Welcome.
Hello.
Always a great supporter, always in the chat talking. Really appreciate it. Let's just get into some start sits while they're rolling in. Hello, guys. Dowdle, Carson Steele, or Zamir White? I don't trust Zamir White anymore.
No.
If you can't put up a big game against the Panthers, I don't know when you're going to. So until he shows that he can, I don't trust it. Dowdle, that run game for Dallas has been terrible.
It really has. I was actually like doing the higher and lower picks for Underdog, and I stayed away from Dowdle because
So yeah, I
I
think
guess that leaves Steele.
I think you have to go Carson Steele. They have a tough matchup against the Chargers, but I just think, I mean, it's the Chiefs. They're going to be able to move the ball. That's going to put him in good opportunities. So I would go Carson Steele on that. Nick chiming in, he would go Steele as well. Nick, we love when everybody answers everybody's questions, because I feel like the more opinions you can get, just the better. So there's 3 opinions between me, you, and Nick for Steele. Jamie pointing out he's 3-0 in our auction league.
Congratulations. I am sucking.
I'm also 3-0, so I am not sucking. I'm pulling my weight. What are you doing? I get it. You wanted to take it easy
I have
on
so
people.
many injuries in our listener auction league. I am just filled with injuries. In the Pirate League, I got off to a rough start because people weren't performing as they should. And the more you get people stolen from you,
that's tough.
I'm desperate in that league. We're 3 weeks in, and it's like, what am I going to do to turn this season around? Because I've been stolen from.
You just got to wait until
repeatedly.
you face somebody who has also been stolen from repeatedly. And then you get, I mean, maybe it's not the prime player because they've already been stolen from, but you get something to help out and just keep building on that. Kathy saying start Goddard or Kmet for tight end.
You're asking about 2 top 5 tight ends right now.
We're actually going to get into that in a little bit here, but
I don't know if you can.
I like them both. I think you really have to watch injury news. So if AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are both out, I definitely say Goddard. If Keenan Allen is in, I think that takes a little bit back from Kmet.
But he has been doing well, but it likely because
because Keenan Allen's been out. So I think if Keenan Allen is out, then you also have to consider Kmet. But I think that AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are going to miss another week or miss a week. So I think I would go Goddard in that situation. Nick disagreeing. He likes Kmet. I do think it's hard to go wrong with Kmet too. I said start him last week. I'm going to say start him this week in our starts. I mean,
they are doing those are 2 tight ends who are actually doing well so far this season.
Let's get into that in a second. Nick will answer your question about Darnell Mooney in a second here. Real quick though, we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and they have a new show. Doug Stanhope, Brendan Walsh, and Sean Green host the newest podcast on SGPN. It's called Get to the Points. Every Thursday before the game, Doug, Brendan, and Sean give out their favorite plays and talk a ton of shit. Doug and Brendan are professional comedians. You might know them from the Joe Rogan podcast, the Howard Stern Show, Comedy Central. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and get in some laughs. All right, let's talk about the top 5s, because we were writing them down, talking through this, and it's kind of comical in some areas.
Like if you want to just even start at quarterback from 5th to 1st, you've got Baker, Sam Darnold, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and then Josh Allen. Yeah,
Jaden Daniels, an absolute stud so far as a rookie quarterback. To me, the biggest surprise there is Sam Darnold.
Well, it is. And a coworker just asked me not too long ago who they should start over Mahomes and Sam Darnold. And Mahomes has not been performing.
Not something you would think you'd be asking.
No. And I said, you know what? Darnold is he's QB4 right now.
Yeah.
And he's been performing well. And I am so against sitting your studs like Mahomes, but until he has a good game for fantasy, I told her I would take the risk of losing out on Mahomes having a good game versus not getting the points.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And Baker, not a surprise, because we said he was so undervalued coming into the preseason. We said draft him. Hopefully you listened. Running backs 5-1. We got James Cook, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, and Saquon Barkley. So not a ton of surprises there, really. I mean, you got some studs. I guess kind of a surprise to me that Kyron Williams is doing well, because I was out on him. But
should have stayed. You talked me out of my gut instincts on him.
Oh, you should never go away from your gut.
I know. To let you talk me out of it, and now I'm like, I still took him, but I felt like, I should probably have maybe not spent as much on him, or maybe not taken him here, and I don't feel so bad anymore because I always thought he was good. So there you go. Wide receiver.
Yes.
We've got Justin Jefferson coming in at number 5, Rasheed Rice, Chris Godwin, Juwan Jennings, and then Malik Neighbors at wide receiver 1.
What's your biggest surprise there? Now, I know some of these are inflated by big games,
Mhm.
like Juwan Jennings. He had like a 40-point game or something.
And that really boosted him, obviously,
Yes,
up to
it's
number
only
2.
week 3.
I'm not surprised for. Well, honestly, aside from Justin Jefferson, none of these guys were in my top 10 for wide receivers.
Yeah.
Now we're only in week 3.
Right.
Seeing like Rasheed Rice up there when we're not seeing the
Mahomes and that success. Yeah.
Mhm.
Malik Neighbors is the biggest surprise for me. I didn't doubt his talent. I doubted Daniel Jones's ability to make him a valuable fantasy
Mhm.
football asset.
Oh, it's nice to see him doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for tight ends, Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely, Cole Kmet, Brock Bowers, Dallas Goedert, kind of a surprising list. However, this is going to change a lot because no tight end has had more than one double-digit game in half PPR leagues. There has been zero consistency.
I am like, what is happening at this position
Yeah.
right now?
Travis Kelce has not had a double-digit game yet.
Nope. Laporta's not doing
No.
great. And Evan Ingram's out. I think if Evan Ingram was here, he'd be doing great.
Yeah, he missed
And he
some
would have
games
been my
too.
save, like in all my I think I have him in almost every league.
Well, and same with George Kittle. I mean,
Mhm.
we said preseason when we talked tight ends, like the biggest concern with Kittle is his injuries. He had 17 points in week 1, and now he's
Mhm.
been injured.
I
So,
know.
yeah, we're gonna get back to the chat here in a second. I see some stuff popping up here that I want to hit on, but real quick, what are we drinking today?
Well, on Monday's show, we reviewed Clyde May's bourbon, and I was the bartender today.
Yeah,
I haven't even tried it. Is it okay?
Yes, it's very good.
But yeah, we're drinking our old fashioned with the Clyde May's bourbon today.
Yeah, and you can check that out on Monday's episode, or it'll be in our whiskey section of YouTube if you want to check it out. Let's catch up with the chat here. Nick Fortune had asked, is Darnell Mooney a good start for a flex? As much as I wanted to say, I mean, all preseason, I was like, Darnell Mooney's not going to do shit. But it seems like he's become an important target for Kirk Cousins. So I think he's absolutely startable. Shout out to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, my favorite show. Make sure you check them out. They're always giving out a bunch of winners. And shout out to Moon Off the Machine, the Marks. How's it going, Moon Off? Thanks for stopping by. Jamie saying, what do you think about Garrett Wilson this week? He's currently wide receiver 28, and now he faces Surtain, who shut down Evans, Pickens, and Metcalf. I believe we're going to get to that on our sits. So spoiler alert, we think you should sit him. So yeah, Jamie saying London should see a ton of Lattimore. So I like Mooney again this week. Agreed. Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about the injury report? I don't have an as an extensive list because there's just so many questionables
there's a lot that is not known yet.
Yeah. So let's go over the things that we do know, and then follow our social media. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. We'll put out shorts letting you know like who's in, who is out, and if people are out, we'll tell you like a possible replacement on that team that could help out.
Yeah. So to get us started with that, Joe Mixon has not practiced, so he could miss another game.
Yeah, which is killing me. It's killing me
too.
I had him in several leagues. Kenneth Walker, he missed last week. Missed a couple weeks for that oblique injury. Now they did say that they were going to take caution with him. He's questionable. I think they have a tough matchup anyways. So Detroit is good against the run. So I think I wouldn't count on him being in your starting lineup anyways.
And then Tank Dell, for those that were hoping that he was going to keep ramping up after having a decent game last week, I think he's unlikely to play in week 4 due to bruised ribs.
Yeah, I was like, finally, we're seeing Tank doing something. He's picking it up. Not so fast, my friend. In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. And we're still waiting word on A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, as we said already when we were talking about Dallas Goedert. However, one of their backups, Britton Covey, suffered a broken scapula. That's your shoulder blade.
No,
that sounds painful.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, he's going to miss at least 6 weeks. So he's going to be out. Before we keep going, we got to tell people about a place that we love. And that's Underdog Fantasy. Murray, you want to let them know about Underdog Fantasy?
Absolutely. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first touchdown projections. We give those out every show, so maybe you want to work them into your Underdog Fantasy Pick'em entry. There are a ton of ways to win with NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, and more. And their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. We are going to be giving out picks here in a little bit, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, go on over to underdogfantasy.com, sign up with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, that's underdogfantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN.
All right, we are back. Yeah, if you have other start sit questions, make sure you throw them in the chat and share this with a friend. Say, hey, you got any questions about your lineup? Go check these guys out. They're live right now. And yeah, check them out because that helps us. Word of mouth helps a ton. It really does. So this was an interesting lineup to put together for Underdog Fantasy, in my opinion. I think the Cowboys are going to win. Sorry, Kramer, but shout out to our buddy Serial. And yeah, I think we should just jump right into that. And I just realized I didn't change our little clicker here. If you're on YouTube, you can see a whiskey glass move from topic to topic when I actually move it. So make sure you come on over to YouTube, subscribe, see our pretty faces. Well, Miranda's pretty face, and see my grizzly face. Let's and we got some graphics. I mean, you can just write down if you don't listen very well, Nick. You can just write down the what the picks are because we got them on the screen. Miranda, do you want to walk through yours?
Oh, I do. And you know what?
You forgot your notes.
My notes are in my office. For why? Like,
Too
because
late now.
I wrote down, like, because one of my picks, Malik Neighbors, higher than 10.5 targets. I think that this is something he's easily going to get. I don't have his exact, you know what? I have our stat tracker because I wrote down weeks 1 through 3, what his targets were. This seemed like this was easily obtainable for him. Daniel Jones, lower than 32.5 rushing yards. I don't know that we're going to see him get this. I think he only has had 32 rushing yards 1 week. I don't see this happening. I don't usually go with the lowers, as you know, but I felt like this could be a lower. Dak Prescott, higher than 34.5 passing attempts. He throws the ball. Like, we're talking, last week, it was either last week, maybe week 2, like threw the ball 51 times. He, well, you have that up right now?
I'm
You're
getting
gonna
it.
help me?
Yep.
There you go. 32, 39, and 51. So I felt like 34.5. I definitely think they're going to be passing the ball.
And to your Malik Neighbors targets there, he's had 7, 18, and 12.
There you go. And that 7 was week 1.
Yeah. So
we've just seen him continue to increase, and he's getting a lot of the target share on that offense.
A lot.
Like, we're talking 67% of the target share in week 2.
Yeah.
But he dropped to 36% last week, which is still
averaging 40%.
Yes, that he's getting a lot of the target share. Thank you for pulling up the stats for me.
Oh, yeah.
Devin Singletary, I have him higher than 62.5 rushing yards. I also have Jake Ferguson higher than 42.5 receiving yards. And just to go along with Singletary, week 1, he only had 37 yards, but week 2, 95. Last week, 65. Yeah. I feel like this is a safe bet to go higher on him. And then Jake Ferguson, he's coming back. And last week, we saw him with 22% of the target share, 95 receiving yards. And I just think that he's going to continue, like, to be more a part of this offense now that he's back. So I went higher on the 42.5. $10 with these will pay $162.
Yeah, I like it for the most part. You're going to see
the most part.
Well, you're going to see why I say that when we get to mine, because you actually have a pick that I have as well, but we're on opposite sides of it.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's the first time this has happened.
It
So
is.
people are going to have to decide which one they
I
want
need
to
to know
go with.
why. I'm gonna need to know why. Let's go to yours.
All right. I've got Malik Neighbors 6.5 receptions higher.
Mhm.
We already talked about the huge target share, so I think the receptions are going to be there. I have Daniel Jones.
This is your higher.
Yeah,
and I'm
32 and a
lower.
half rush yards higher. I know he hasn't hit this mark yet, but the Cowboys are susceptible to quarterback running, and I just think he's going to be able to hit this. I like this pick a lot. I know you're making a face at me. People
I
can't see the
know.
face you're making,
I
but
can't. Too bad.
I also have CeeDee Lamb to score a touchdown. I think he gets one this week. I have Devin Singletary. I like what you did, but when I was picking mine, I wanted something a little different. The Cowboys are letting up a decent average yard per carry. So I went 28.5 first half rush
Can
yards.
I ask you something? You saw mine before you picked yours?
Yeah, I make the graphic.
Oh, I can't believe you.
I had most of
You
these.
cheated.
Well, I had the same Devin Singletary one, and so I
Okay.
changed it. And then
Okay.
yeah, and then Jake Ferguson, I went with 4 receptions. He had 3 first week, and he got hurt during that game, and then he missed week 2. Week 3, he had 6 receptions. So I like him to be able to get to that 4.
I
So
make the graphics.
I make the graphics. I have to see your picks to make the graphics.
Well, I meant before you made your picks.
Oh no, I had just the same. Let's keep up here. I want to keep you guys. Jamie says I want to keep you guys all to myself. Screw my competition. They can still suck it. I bet Lamb anytime touchdown parlayed with Cowboys money line. Also bet Lamb 60+ yards parlayed with Cowboys -5.5. Yours said Monday Night Football. My bad. That's the graphic guy's fault. It's Thursday Night Football.
I make the graphic. You you put mine as Monday night, and yours said Thursday.
I think mine probably said it as well. Yep. Forgot to change it to
Oh.
Thursday Night Football.
Blame the graphics guy.
Blame the graphics guy. That's me. Yeah, no, I like these, the Lamb 60+, where I know we're brought to you by Bet US, but Bet 365 does have right now a special at +100 of Neighbors and Lamb to have 50+ yards. I like that bet a lot. Arthur Noon's checking in. How's it going? Start 3, Henry, Cook, Mason, and Singletary. I think you got to go with the studs, which would be Derrick Henry and James Cook. And between Mason and Singletary, the 49ers are just so good at running the ball. So I think I would go Mason. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
He's been doing well.
Nick agrees with us. Graphic guy will be getting a stern talking to. He says, yes, he will.
Sleeping on the couch.
That's right. Should we jump right into our start sits? I mean, we're on a roll here. If you have more questions, throw them in. But we might as well kind of talk about our start sits, the ones that we singled out that we think are going to have good games.
Yeah. I'm going to kick us off with my quarterback, Jared Goff.
The goof.
The goof. He's not a goof
You
anymore.
do love Jared Goff, I've noticed.
I do.
Real quick before we get to that,
Yeah.
shout out to our unofficial sponsor, Liquid Death. And I was thinking about this, we keep saying unofficial sponsor. We talk a lot of whiskey, but we are very pro enjoy responsibly. So sometimes you got to mix, a little hydration with it, or maybe you don't partake in alcohol. It's a great option for non-alcoholic. Shout out to our unofficial sponsor, Liquid Death. All right, now you can talk about the goof.
You're really trying for it. I support you, Justin. I support you. All right. He is projected 13.1. Like you said, I can't quit him.
I know,
can't
you
quit
love him.
this guy. With only being projected 13.1, I mean, he goes against the Seahawks. We just talked about how the last 3 years they've had these blow up games. The last 3 times that they have gone against them, 37-31, 48-45, and 51-29.
Whew.
These are high scoring games.
Ironically, Seattle won all those, and I think Detroit gets it this weekend, but we'll see.
I'd like to see it happen, and I'd like to see Laporta have a game.
Right? He's questionable, but
but anyway, therefore, I want the quarterbacks playing in these games. So I like starting Geno as well if you have him, but if you have Goff, start Goff too.
Yeah. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go cable.
I have one more stat for you, though.
Oh, sorry.
Just to kind of support this.
Yeah.
Last year in September against the Seahawks, Goff threw for 322 yards and a touchdown.
There you go. That's a lot of yards.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I started jumping the gun. Sorry about that. He's projected 15.7. Yes, we
You're
lost.
excited to say
I
him.
was excited to talk about Caleb Williams. Yeah, we lost the game. And yeah, he threw it 15 times to come from behind. Like they were behind, so they threw it a lot. And he only scored 17 points. He had 2 interceptions and a fumble, though. You clean that up, that's 23 points.
Mhm.
But it felt like he took a step forward. He did become the first Bears rookie to throw for over 300 yards, which shouldn't surprise anybody knowing the Bears quarterback history. And he was the first player in the NFL this season to throw for 350. Now, Dak later joined him that afternoon, but he goes against a weaker pass defense for the Rams. And I actually think the Bears ball out. I think that they're going to win like 30-17. That's my score prediction for the Bears Rams game.
I really hope the game goes as you're thinking. Otherwise, I'm going to have to deal with a very moody you.
It's going to be a bad week, Tater.
At running back, I've got Aaron Jones. He's projected 15. This is a high projection, and we usually avoid high projections like this. But if you're giving any hesitation to start him, I don't think you should. He
Agreed.
plays his old team, the Packers, and he's going to be looking to have a good game. 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns aren't out of the picture here. I don't
Oh,
think.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I mean, and that's a big game too, because Vikings currently sitting undefeated at the top of our division, which is crazy to me. Everybody, Jamie, get ready to pick your mouth up or your jaw up off the floor when I say this for my start for running back, Roschon Johnson. I know that I have hated on him.
Who are you?
Right?
You just got done telling me that he was fucking garbage.
That guy's fucking garbage. Get him out of there.
And he's in your start list.
He's in my start list. He's projected only 5.5. And I know it's weird coming from me. For 2 years, I've been anti-Roschon Johnson. But we saw him get used more last week, and he looked a little more explosive. And now this week, they said they want to get an extensive look at him against the Rams. To me, I think that's a nice way of saying we're benching DeAndre Swift. I think they're benching Swift and that Roschon is going to get that start and get the first chance at carries. He just looked like he was running the ball better. In deeper leagues, it's just a flex spot right now until we can see if it's going to pay off. But I think he's definitely going over this 5.5, and I think he's actually going to get around the 10 to 12 range. That's my guess.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Especially if we really do bench Swift.
Yeah.
So.
I think, I think Swift will play, but I think Roschon's going to lead the carries.
This makes me like, I don't know if I should say my next one. I've got Roma Dunze, wide receiver.
Oh, shit. We're jinxing
I know.
ourselves.
I was like, I don't want to say this. He's projected 8.5. He became the 4th Bears rookie wide receiver since 1984 to have a 100 plus yard game.
Some of our stats are so sad.
We finally made it.
Right.
But it finally looked like this dynamic duo Bears fans have been waiting for it, like starting to form. That Oakham is going. I think it keeps rolling, and Roma Dunze has another big game against a defense that isn't all that good against the pass.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors only have one game over 100 yards as well, but it's just sad looking at some of the Bears stuff. By the way, we see some of the questions rolling in. We will get to those in just a second.
We got a couple more starts here.
Yep, hang with us, and we will get to them. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe. That helps us a ton, so I really appreciate it. I'm going to say Christian Kirk. He's projected 7.6, and this is the week that I'm taking my shot on him in the leagues that I drafted him. I've been patient. And I'm throwing him in my flex spot. The Jags are 0-3, like a couple of my fantasy football teams, unfortunately. I don't think I've ever started a season 0-3, and I have multiple leagues where I'm 0-3, and it just pisses me off. Anyways, they've looked really bad, but Monday night, Trevor started almost said feeding him. And he led the target share. He went on from games of 4 targets and 3 targets to 10 targets. So it's like they finally started clicking like we saw last year before he got hurt. He only had 1 catch in the first 2 games. He had 8 on Monday. So I think this is the week we see like another 8, maybe 80 yards and potentially a touchdown. I think Christian Kirk is on the up and up. Finally.
I like it. At tight end, this probably will come as no surprise based on our tight end conversation earlier and going through our rankings. But Dallas Goedert, currently tight end 1. He's projected 9 points. He had 22 fantasy points last week. I think if, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both miss again, I think that's likely to happen. So if you have to play Goddard, who will be Jalen Hurts' number 1 target, I think that this is a really good start for you. We mentioned earlier too that no tight end has had more than 1 double-digit fantasy points for a week. So maybe he's the first who's going to have 2 double-digit
I feel like every year we're like, oh, the tight end position is tough. But this year it seemed especially tough.
I don't get it.
There's no consistency.
There is not, and it's driving me crazy.
And your studs just aren't studs.
No,
it has been insane.
It's driving me crazy. I don't like it at all. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
So last week, Cole Kmet was projected 4.5 points.
Should have known.
Yeah,
I got the Dallas Goedert and Cole Kmet question earlier, and guess what? We're starting
talking them both. Last week he was projected 4.5. He finished with 20.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have way too many Bears players in our starts.
Well, we are going to win this game by a lot.
I am getting nervous.
But he's projected 6.7. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. Caleb Williams and Cole Kmet, they finally got on the same page. It's like Caleb Williams realized, oh shit, I can dump it down to this guy and he can do something with it. Cole Kmet is a pretty talented guy. I love when he scores a touchdown and does his home run celebration. I think they continue to progress well. I think they continue to win. And like I already said, 30-17 for this game. So I think they win it easily. Should we get to sits first, or you want to answer some questions?
Let's answer some questions. The chat is going.
All right. Let me see. Augusto says, my running backs are Hall, Kamara, ETN, Ford. Wide receivers are London, Rice, Neighbors, Godwin. That's a good team. My tight end, Bowers and Goddard. Would you trade ETN and London for Jonathan Taylor? I think you got the depth to make sense with that.
You got Rice, Neighbors, and Godwin, who are 3 of the top 5 wide receivers right now, and you've got the number 1 tight.
I like it.
I like this a lot. I think I would do it.
Yeah, that actually brings up a good point too. sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Look under the fantasy football section. Yesterday, I released my dynasty trade value chart and the redraft trade value chart. It's not a let's swear by these numbers that are in here, but it is a guide to help you kind of grade some trades or grade where players are. Like somebody offered me, they wanted CeeDee Lamb from me, who I realize he's the 18th, 19th wide receiver right now, but we know CeeDee Lamb's potential. But they wanted CeeDee Lamb from me, and they were going to give me, I'm trying to remember who it was. Isaiah Likely, who really hasn't had a great week since week 1, and Khalil Shakir, who, he's starting to find some rhythm with Josh Allen.
Lamb.
But those two are not worth CeeDee Lamb. And I just pointed right to I know it's bias because I made the chart and everything, but I pointed to it and I was like, this is why I'm declining this. This is very far off in value to me. So, you can just kind of go by that. If your league mates offer you a goofy trade or they think you're offering a goofy trade, but really you've lined it up and you're like, this is pretty even. You can show them that. Nick likes the trade as well. Augusto. Roshan, Jamie says, I know you're a big Roshan fan. I knew you'd like that. Bronson says, should I take London and Brian Thomas Jr. for Goddard, Waddle, and Keon, or Addison instead of Brian Thomas? So take London and Brian Thomas Jr.
to give away Goddard, Waddle, and Keon.
I know Waddle's having some tough times without Tua. Keon and that Bills offense is hit and miss, but I don't know if I like getting rid of Goddard, especially like we've talked
there's
about.
There's no tight ends right now that you can really rely on. He's somebody you can.
Yeah, I think you're going to be able to rely on him. So
I guess it would depend on who else you have for tight end.
That's a good point, Bronson. If you could let us know who your other tight end is. Otherwise, I think I'd sit tight with what you have. RD said, all this Packer hate from Murr is why I got her twice last week. Oh, RD beat you.
We're not talking about that.
And haven't I been on Roshan since day 1? Yeah, I'm finally starting to come around. Jamie says Roshan going to be throwing touchdowns to himself and running for 150 yards. I don't know about that one, but maybe. Josiah, welcome to the chat. Jackson
Hello,
says,
Josiah.
"Hi, should I trade Puka Nakua for Josh Jacobs?" I would not. I would be patient with Puka. Once he's back and healthy, he's going to
How many more
be.
weeks do we have?
We don't
2?
know for sure, but 2 minimum, I believe. And Josh Jacobs, I feel like, has just been a little hit and miss in that Packers offense. And once Jordan Love is back, yeah, he might look better. But I think, or he might look worse because they're going to pass the ball more, actually.
Mhm.
I think for me, I would keep Puka. I guess it depends. Again, it depends on your wide receivers. And I like, is that a turtle on the photo? Can you see?
Yeah, that's a turtle.
I
It's a
like the
tortoise.
photo of your tortoise.
Turtle, tortoise. It's a tortoise.
Josiah says, "What do I do with Tyreek Hill? You can trade him to me if you're in a league with me."
If this is the family league,
I
I want Tyreek.
I'm being patient with Tyreek. I think it's going to take a couple more weeks, but I think he'll be all right.
Do you think he's not going to have a 1700 season?
I don't. I think that we missed on that.
I think so too. I was thinking about, how he's already had 2 of those 1700 plus seasons for
Yeah.
yards. I was like, he's a beast. He's going to do it again, or he's going to be above 1500. And I don't know.
I mean, we said it was dependent on Tua's health,
We did,
but Skylar Thompson did not look good. But I think now head coach McDaniel said that he's not going to rule out starting Tyler Snoop Huntley, and I think he could bring some fire to that team. So just my opinion. Thank you everybody for checking in. Keep throwing your questions in. Let's get to sits, and I'm going to lead it off if you don't mind. We've been doing this thing where you start sits, or you start starts, I start sits. I knew what I was saying there. Hopefully you did too.
Just get going.
Just get going. Unpopular opinion here. You probably can't sit him. I get it. But if you can, Jalen Hurts. He's projected 20.6. He could end up running a bunch, and I look like an idiot. But no AJ Brown, no Devonta Smith. I think they try to focus on the run game, and that Jalen doesn't have as good of a game. The Bucs are also coming off a loss. I think they're going to hunker down against the pass. It's in Tampa. It's going to be 87 degrees and potentially raining. I mean, that hurricane is hitting in today or tomorrow, I think. So things are going to be a mess. You're still going to have those hurricane rains following the storm. I think that's going to limit both teams in the air.
Well, okay, but even if they focus on the run, you don't think that Hurts is going to have those yards?
I think he'll have some. I don't think he's getting to his 20.6. If you are needing him to get that 20.6, I don't think he's getting it.
Yeah, but
nope.
I can't sit him.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. You might not be able to sit him. I get it.
I guess you're just making me disappointed in what's to come for one of my leagues. Okay.
Fair enough.
I've got Anthony Richardson projected 16.1. He hasn't looked great this year outside of the game against Houston. He started the year with 30 points, but since then didn't get over double digits in the next 2 games. Now he's going against the number 1 defense in fantasy. So for number 1 defense, like for quarterback points allowed. If you can start someone else, I think I would.
Yeah, I have benched him in a league. He's been very disappointing. I even put him on the trade block in the Mark League. So if you're in the Mark League, and Cody, if you're still listening, you offered a trade for the wrong quarterback. You tried to take the quarterback that I did not put on the trade block. So I'm going to have to politely decline. I'm going to sit Rachaad White. He's projected 11. He was on my sit list last week, and he went under his projection. He's on it again, and it's because of Bucky Irving. And now Todd Bowles has said, hey, Bucky Irving has earned even more carries. That's bad news for Rachaad White. There is one caveat here. If the Eagles happen to get ahead of them, White is normally the pass catching back. So that does make me nervous because he could be used more there. But, and I guess if he gets in, he could be pissed from hearing the comments about, well, Bucky Irving has just deserved it. Like Bucky's looked good, and that other guy, not so much. So we're going to take some work from him. Maybe he's pissed about that, but my gut is still saying to sit him until he can prove to be a reliable fantasy asset week in and week out. He has not done that as of yet.
Right. I've got Kenneth Walker. He's projected 12.4. He's still dealing with his oblique. Sorry.
You okay?
I don't know what's
Does
going on.
oblique choke you up?
It does. He's still dealing with that oblique injury and is questionable. However, if he plays, I think he could be on a snap count to make sure he doesn't re-aggravate anything.
Yeah.
He also goes against the Lions, which have the best defense and fantasy points allowed to running backs.
You got a little snippy there. I saw
My
that.
Lions.
Little
My
too-
Lions that I don't like, but I like.
I don't ever want to hear you
I
say
know.
you like
I don't
the
ever
Lions
want to say
again.
that again either.
It looks like Miranda's sleeping
For
on the couch.
fantasy. I like him in fantasy.
That's fair.
Okay.
You can have fantasies about the Lions, but you cannot like them in this household.
I don't like them.
My wide receiver, I'm going to sit Chris Olave, projected 11.5. I know he's been getting better in fantasy football, but I think it's a tough matchup against Atlanta, and I'm just not trusting him this week. He did finally get over this mark last week. It was the first game over 11, but that was against Philly. I'm nervous about how the Saints offense looks against Atlanta.
Right. Garrett Wilson time.
Here we
for
go,
our
Jamie.
spoiler. He's projected 11.4. We just saw Patrick Surtain hold Mike Evans to 2 fantasy football points. Now Garrett Wilson I feel like he's in for a long day. The only time he's exceeded 11.8 was last week against New England. While I think that Rodgers and Wilson seem to be more on the same page, I'd sit him this week if you can.
Yeah. And it still seems like maybe it's Lazard's offense. Like Rodgers loves throwing to Lazard.
He does.
Yeah, I agree with that one a lot. For the sit tight ends, it was hard for me to pick one because this tight end stuff has been so up and down. But if Njoku plays, he's questionable. I still think you sit him. I've been off him all year, so I would sit him. He wasn't doing a lot prior to injury. I don't expect him to do a lot this year either.
All right.
So, do you have a tight end?
Yes. I agree that it's hard to pick players.
Yeah.
I'll caution on Hunter Henry against the top defense against tight ends in fantasy football.
Makes sense. We will catch up with the chat in 1 second. Before we do, we got to let you know that we're brought to you by BetUS, and bet with the best in the business. BetUS, they've been around for more than 40 years, and you can bet anywhere. Don't get fooled by this BetUS. It's available in a ton of locations, including internationally. So if you've heard me on the CFL Gambling Podcast and you're up in Canada and you made your way to old-fashioned football, don't worry, you can use BetUS. We have a massive props menu, same game parlays, and some of the best boosts in the business, plus an all live betting experience. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Like, I don't know, get some Dogecoin. Or let's do another fun one here. We did this last week and you hit it. Let's go first scoring method. Cowboys touchdown, Cowboys field goal, Giants touchdown, or Giants field goal.
Oh, I'm thinking here. Cowboys field goal.
Cowboys field goal on BetUS. If that's the first score, it's plus 265. I like that. They also have the best fantasy football kicker in the league. So, yeah, I like that. And if you use our link to sign up, you get a crazy 125% deposit bonus on your first deposit. Oh, on your first 3, which is just insane. They're giving money away. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. So they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop. And they also got a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. If you're a nerd like myself, you're going to love it. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, we are back. And let's catch up with the chat real quick before our best bets. Game's starting soon here, so we do want to get to those. Let's see here. Here's where we left off. Snag 2K, Cowboys defense or Texans. That's tough because the Giants aren't a great team, but they look like they're starting to put it together a little bit more.
Yeah.
Texans go against the Jags. They're 0-3. Trevor Lawrence has looked bad. I think I like the
I
Texans
like the
defense.
Texans too.
Yeah.
Like Cowboys are kind of middle of the road, but
Yeah.
Texans.
I like the Texans defense. George Playo 1, how's it going? Should I trade Jordan Mason for Nico Collins and CMC? My other running backs are Saquon, Gibbs, Bucky, Roshan, and Javante. I think if you have an offer to get Nico Collins and CMC for Jordan Mason, you should absolutely do that.
I like it.
I like that trade a lot, especially because you have the depth. Cody says he thought it was a good offer. It was a good offer. I just I don't want to get rid of Jaden Daniels. He did offer me Patrick Mahomes, if I remember correctly. There was more involved in the trade, but
underperforming Mahomes.
I suck at drawing. That's
get
not a random
better.
statement, even though I do suck at drawing. I suck at drawing. He's asking start Richardson, Geno Smith, or Sam Darnold.
Okay. Geno. I think Geno Smith, we talked a lot about starting him.
Yeah.
Or Goff. And I think that it's going to be a
yeah,
high scoring.
that's exactly what I would say as well. High scoring affair. It
And
has been anyways the last 3 years.
I don't think
with
it's
the
a
Lions.
bad pickup to get Sam Darnold either because he is QB4 right now.
Yeah, if you have the room, especially because Richardson continues to struggle.
And Richardson is on our sit list.
Yeah, for sure. Jamie saying Surtain is a defender to avoid matchups, giving up only 1.31 fantasy points per target and 0 touchdowns. That is impressive. Steven says, full PPR, 2 flex spots. Would you work in Rico Dowdle into this lineup? James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Jamar Chase, George Pickens, Najee Harris, Carson Steele. I wouldn't. I just don't trust that Cowboys rush offense. Now, I realize it's against the Giants. It could be a little bit better this week, but Rico only had 8 carries last week. Yes, they were behind most of the game, but still only running the ball 8 times. And they have not been running the ball very well. I just don't trust either one of those running backs right now. Do you agree?
I agree with you. I do.
All right. Wax Riff says Wilson or Shakir start or sit. We're sitting
Wilson.
Yeah. I know it seems weird to start Khalil Shakir over Wilson, but as Jamie pointed out, Surtain only giving up 1.31 fantasy points per target, 0 touchdowns. So it's going to be a long day for Wilson. Tingley, I'm Tingley as well, says start Wandale, DeMarcus, or Michael Wilson PPR. I love what Wandale Robinson's been getting done. I think that he's going to continue to be a good part of that offense. I'm going to pull up his stats for the last couple games here. But first week he had 12 targets, 44 yards, had a down week 2, but last week 7 catches, 8 targets, 61 yards. I think you follow that and go after that. DeMarcus Robinson hasn't done much. I thought he was going to be the wide receiver that stepped up while Kupp and what's his name?
Puka.
Thank you. Kupp and Puka were hurt. But he's had 4 targets the past 2 weeks. He caught 2 in week 2, 1 in week 1. So I don't like that one necessarily. And then Michael Wilson, just bear with me. I'm just if I could spell correctly.
Stat tracker is like lagging.
It's a lagging dragon.
Computer.
You and me both. Michael Wilson did look good last week. 8 catches on 9 targets for 64 yards. So it would be between him and Wandale. I still kind of like Wandale, though. What do you think?
I've been a fan of, like you said, what he's doing lately. It's finally loading for me. He's just getting so much of the target share.
Yeah, he is getting much more target share than Michael Wilson. I know Michael Wilson had 26% last week, but I would want to see that more consistently.
Wandale, 24 last week, but he's been as high as 32% of the target share.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. Also asking, should I trade Tyreek Hill? I think if you can wait, he'll be all right.
I think it depends on what you get for him.
That's true as well. Depends on the value. But I think right now his value is as low as it's going to be. So you might as well, in my opinion, wait a couple weeks. And if it doesn't get better, then you can trade him. His value is going to be the same.
You need to wait till, if you want to get rid of him, I would wait till he has a big game.
Yeah. And hopefully that he does.
And hopefully he does.
When they start Snoop Huntley, he's going to have a big game. And then if you feel like you're a little panicked and don't think he's going to continue having good games, then I would trade him. Tingley says, benching AR-15, I don't blame you. Should I drop Likely or Mostert to pick up Geno or Fields?
Likely he had a good week 1, like we said earlier. He hasn't.
He hasn't done much since then,
need to look
unfortunately.
Mostert here.
Well, Mostert's been injured. I don't know if he's going to be back, but I do think that Devon Chan has officially taken over that backfield.
Yeah, but have they said when he?
He's just questionable right now. He's questionable. They don't know if he'll be back. And if he does, right now, I think he's going to be on a snap count. So
if you drop Mostert, somebody's
probably going to take
stash him.
Just for reference to Isaiah Likely, had that great first week, 9 catches on 12 targets, 111 yards and a touchdown.
Since then, his target share has dropped to 7%. In the last 2 weeks, 10% and 7%.
Yeah. So I dropped him in a league. And
he's the safer one. I think he's a safer one to drop.
Yeah. And then as far as picking up Geno or Fields, that depends how long-term you're looking at getting a quarterback. Because we said Geno is the play this week. Fields has some long-term value, though, I think, if they stick with him. I don't know why you would go off of him since he's 3-0. But
things have happened.
They did promise Russell Wilson that he would be the starter, so maybe Mike Tomlin wants to hit that. Jamie says Mahomes or Kyler Murray. I think Mahomes going against the Chargers, that's a tough defense. And the way that he's been playing, I think you actually have to go with Kyler Murray here. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's too risky to start Mahomes. And like I said, you're going to miss those quarterback points that you need.
Yeah. Yep.
Because he's just not pulling it in for fantasy.
And Kyler's been running pretty well. Josiah says Likely or Parkinson. I think you got to go Parkinson. He had 22% of the target share last week. They're hurting, even though I do think the Bears defense is going to slow them, but that might lead to some dump off passes to Parkinson. Let's talk a little best bets before the game starts. We need to get our best bets out for everybody for the game tonight. We'll answer some more questions in a little bit here, so keep throwing them in the chat. But do you want to kick off with tonight's best bets first?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. My best bet for tonight is Malik Neighbors, longest reception, over 23.5.
I like that.
I thought about receptions or receiving yards because I think these have a good chance too. However, if Dallas works on limiting him, I think he still gets a big play. And Neighbors has had a catch over 23.5 yards in every single game this year. He had one for 25, 28, and another 28. I think we're going to see that trend continue. I mean, I like what I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's impressive. I was looking at the run game for Dallas because we said like it just hasn't been there. And I was trying to figure out which of these running backs I wanted to target to fade. I'm going to go Rico Dowdle because he had the higher total. So 40.5 rushing yards. The Giants rush defense, it's kind of middle of the road, but like that Cowboys offense has just been weird. He's not gone over this number yet either this year. So I don't know why it's so high. And that's part of the reason I like it. The other part is, this is a rivalry. The Giants and Cowboys play each other twice a year. And who's been a part of a lot of those games? Zeke. So I think maybe if he's going to do something, this is the game that he does it. I think this is the game that he could have the bulk of the carries. And just as a bonus one, I also like Jalen Tolbert over 28.5 over 28.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this twice now, and the Giants have let the wide receiver 2s on teams put up some numbers while they try to focus on stopping that wide receiver 1. And I think Jalen Tolbert's becoming that clear cut. I know Brandon Cooks is there, but Tolbert's been kind of outperforming him. I like what he's done. First touchdowns?
Yes.
All right, let's see who you got.
I'm just throwing this out there. Jake Ferguson.
Serial would be proud. He loves some Fergie.
I know he does. He exited week 1 with an injury, missed week 2. Then in week 3, he led the team in targets, catches, and yards.
Yeah.
It feels like, he's coming back. He's due for a touchdown. It's plus 900.
Nice. I like it. I think the Cowboys are going to score the first touchdown as well. I went with a different guy, though. Jalen Tolbert at plus 1,500. I just talked about how I think he's becoming kind of a second option in this offense, not Brandon Cooks. And he's got a lot of talent. We've just kind of been waiting to see it. And I have a feeling that maybe he's going to be the guy that gets that. So
Do you think we are going to keep on our trend of being one of us being right?
I hope so. I look back. So we've done 7. That reminds me, next week is another Monday night doubleheader. I don't know why the NFL is doing that, especially like if you're going to do it, don't have the games running at the same time.
No.
Like one of them starts a little bit before halftime of the first one.
Yeah.
Run them back to back. I don't care if it's a late night. Like what the fuck? That drives me nuts. Anyways, so we'll be going at 5
on Monday.
Yeah, on Monday. But on Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, we give out first touchdown bets. It's been 7 games so far. We've hit, at least one of us has hit on 4 of them. That's pretty impressive. 4 out of 7, especially when you're talking about like 9-1 odds, 6-1 odds, things like that. We're keeping you in the profit is what I'm saying here.
Except for the 3 that we didn't.
But if you count
Overall,
those, overall, we're in the profit. And let's give our best bets out now for the weekend. This doesn't include tonight. This is the weekend's bets. And we're overall, I know the first touchdowns help lift this number quite a bit, but we're plus 21.5 units right now. And that's a good unit growth.
I can't with you. Can we just not units? Can we find something else? I just don't like units.
It's a standard betting term, Miranda.
I don't like it. Can we make a new one?
No, you talk units because everyone has a different unit size and you never shame a unit size.
Stop. All right. We're going this weekend's
Okay.
best bets. We already talked about Aaron Jones having a big game against the Packers. The rushing and receiving yard line isn't available yet, but if it's around 80.5 or so, I want to jump on that instead of this one.
Look at you doing a little
I know.
analysis of what
A
it might
little
set
bit.
at. I like it.
But I'll still give this one out since it's available now. I'm going Jones over 57.5 rushing yards. This is minus 125. He's ready to show his old team they should have kept him. Packers defense is good against the run, but this is a revenge angle. And Jones has had one over 57.5 yards in 2 of 3 games this year.
Nice. I like it. I am going to go. My best bet is DJ Moore. I know we've talked. We're adding to the amount of bears that we're pumping up.
We should have vetted each other a little bit better.
But it's DJ Moore and his line is
know.
set at 56.5. And I just feel like that's low.
Mhm.
It's at minus 120. They finally started passing the ball more efficiently. And DJ Moore had 78 yards last week. He's going to continue to benefit from Caleb getting better and Caleb getting more comfortable, I guess. Now, they do have to continue to keep Caleb upright or he's not going to be comfortable at all. That's where they've struggled. But they're against a weak pass defense. And even with bad quarterbacks, DJ Moore has shredded weak pass defenses.
Mhm.
So 56.5 just seems disrespectful to me. Fuckers. I'll gladly take their money.
Okay. My next bet is Andy Dalton to throw over 2 touchdown passes.
Red Rifle.
The Red Rifle. He's back at it again. This is at plus 150. This is against his old team. Another revenge angle here. Plus, Dalton looked really good last week, throwing for 3 touchdowns against the Raiders. Yes, the Bengals defense is better, but they're still 18th in passing touchdowns allowed.
Yeah, I like it. It's just crazy how this is the second year in a row where he has come in a game.
Mhm.
Bryce Young was hurt last year. He was benched this week and just looks so much better and so much more competent. And it's got to be a sign. Like everybody's like, oh, Bryce Young just needs more time. I don't think that's the case. I think
No.
Bryce Young is a bust. Let's talk about Patrick Surtain again.
Mhm.
Shut down Mike Evans. Now he's going to shut down Garrett Wilson. So there's a reason he was on our sit list, and I wanted to fade that as well at a betting angle. So I'm going to go under 55.5 receiving yards. That's minus 110 for a Denver defense that hopes to continue on their strong performance of last week. Sorry. I think he's going to shut Garrett Wilson down, maybe even pick off old Rodgers a couple times.
I'd like to see that.
Right.
All right. I've also got Kyler Murray rushing over 34.5. This one feels like it's set too low. Washington's in the middle of the road in allowing rushing yards to quarterbacks, but Kyler has gone over this number in every game this season. Daniel Jones, whatever you want to call him these days, ran for 32 yards against this defense. Kyler is a much better runner. 34.5 at minus 115 feels too easy.
Yeah, he's a better runner by a little bit, by a lot of bit. He's just a little guy,
huge.
but he runs. Yeah, he's a little guy compared to Dan Jones, but he runs much better. I did an anytime touchdown parlay on Monday night that hit, so I want to run it back and do it again. Focusing on running backs: Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry. Anytime touchdown. Plays what?
I saw a comment pop up. We'll continue.
Oh, all right. The parlay pays a little over 12-1. So Jones, Kamara, Barkley, and Derrick Henry to have a touchdown. I think those guys are solid. I think they can do it.
I like it.
Should we, since you got distracted by the chat, should we catch up with it?
Go get up there.
All right. Let's listen to Jamie's brag here. He put Hubbard on the trading block, trying to sell high before Brooks comes back. I like that. I was expecting at least a second. Got a 2025 second and James Conner. That is a very good deal, especially because Brooks is close to returning. What you're pointing?
Well, you missed a lot of comments.
I didn't miss any of these. We talked these already.
Okay.
Let me run the show
All
here.
right. Are you sure?
Yeah, I am sure. Isaiah is saying traded Cup and Bucky for Ayuk and Sharb. Fair deal. Bucky and Charbonnet both backup running backs technically that do get carries. So I think that's pretty good. And then Cup, we don't know necessarily when he's going to be back. So to get Ayuk, even though Ayuk has been slow, I think that it's a decent deal. I think it's pretty fair and down the middle of the road. Same team Sunday morning. Someone offered me Debo and Dobbins, 4 Dobbins straight up. I think 2 Dobbins equals 1 Debo, so I smashed that. Yeah, I like that too. Am I ready to pony up for Caleb? No, I am not. Do you think Bryce Young can thrive in a Pee Wee league playing with 12-year-olds? Only issue is he would still be the shortest player on the field. Yeah, I don't even think, I co-host the UFL gambling podcast. I don't even think Bryce Young could succeed in that. I would take Adrian Martinez, who was the Stallions quarterback last season. I would take him over Bryce Young any day. Because Adrian Martinez has a rushing ability. Bryce Young's like this small guy like Kyler Murray, but he doesn't have the rushing ability that Kyler Murray has, or the arm strength, really. And then Packers or Seahawks for defense. I would avoid the Seahawks.
I would too, because I think it's going to be such a high-scoring game that you're not going to get a lot of defensive points there. And not for holding them, in my opinion. So Packers.
I think Packers against the Vikings, that's a tough matchup too. But I think Packers defense is better.
Yeah.
Miranda, you made a really good old fashioned. I think it tastes very good.
Yay.
You've been promoted to head bartender so that I don't have to do it. And
the real reason the compliment was
no, it was very good. I enjoyed it. We want to thank every one of you that asked questions or that just tuned in to listen. Really, really appreciate it. Always means a lot to us to see you in the chat. Always means a lot that you take time out of your day to listen to us, because that's why we do it, to build these connections, to maybe help you out. Hopefully we help you out. If not, hopefully we're at least entertaining. Learn about some fantasy football stuff. We do the best to give you some of the stats we have, learn about some whiskey. So we really appreciate that. If you could subscribe. I know that we ask that every time. It helps a lot. If you can leave an iTunes review. The last one we have left is from Dylan Carney, the distiller at Savage and Cook, leaving a nice review for us. He's been on the show multiple times. And now we have a ton of reviews from the past from people that listen, like our regulars, like Cody and Fortune and stuff. If you leave a new review, it updates it for us, which helps with the algorithms and all that stuff. So means the world to us if you could do that. And do you have anything else you wanted to add before we get everybody out?
We're doing a giveaway for new reviews.
Yeah, so get the reviews in, damn it.
Get them in.
Yeah. All right. Good luck this week, everybody. make sure you follow our social medias. Feel
Mhm.
free to kick us some DMs if you have questions. Just DM the Old Fashioned FB, Twitter, X, whatever.
Yep. I think next week we need to bring in some standings from our listener leagues.
Yeah, we did that last week, I think it was. Do it
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
Now that we're 4 weeks in, a lot of things change in 4 weeks. Nick Fortune still undefeated in both of them.
What is
He
happening?
even texted me like we gave him shit about it on the pod when he was 2-0.
Mhm.
Well, he even texted me, I can't believe I'm 3-0 in multiple leagues. So Nick knows that sometimes he has bad luck with fantasy football, but yeah, he's killing it.
Believe it or not, for our listeners, I am 3-0 in many leagues, just not our listener league.
Yeah, sure she is. I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
I am too. Scott Fish. I haven't lost in that one.
Nice. I was struggling. I finally got my win in that one. So technically the way they do the median scoring, I'm 2-4 now, but 1-2 as far
Mhm.
as head-to-head matchups.
I
We
don't think I've-
actually are killing it in the 101 of
The 101
Dynasty.
Dynasty, the SGP D-Gens League.
Oh, you're killing it in that one too.
I am.
I
gotta double check
you just
myself
killed me
because
in that one. So yeah,
I'm
I think you
sure
are
I
doing
will
well.
hear it if I'm wrong.
No, I think you were undefeated and you just beat me this week for
I
sure.
don't want to jinx myself and talk about my undefeated.
Are you still alive in the
I
guillotine
am
league?
still alive in it. I am not good at this $1,000 waiver money because I put in like $400 for Chris Godwin and he went for over 500. That's over half.
Wow.
And I should have just done it because I'm not getting like above 80.
I saw in another league you had a bid in for somebody and your bid was like 45 and the person went for like 230 something.
I know.
It's like,
I suck. I suck at this game. I'm still hanging in there, but I needed to make a big, I needed to get a big person. Godwin, I was like, I'm going to get him. I should have looked at his rankings before I did that because
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done like the 537 that he went for, but I
Yeah.
probably would have gone over 500.
I think he's only like 6'2". He's not that big of a guy.
What?
You said you needed to get a big guy.
No, a big playmaker on my roster, Justin.
Oh,
But
my
I'm
bad.
still, who's not in the guillotine?
I'm not.
No.
Yeah, week 1 exit of the guillotine. It hurts.
Mhm.
That always hurts for sure. Yeah, no. I know in the 101 of Dynasty, multiple weeks. It's like I've gone to look at the weekly report or whatever, and either you or I have been the top scorer in the league. So shout out to us.
Yeah.
Against other
Yeah,
fantasy football
the
community members. So
SGP D-Gens, I am 6-0. I don't get the whole. This part bothers me. Like
I know you
6-0.
don't.
We're 3 weeks in. I'm above the median scoring.
Yes. So each week you go head to head with somebody, and
Yeah.
you also go against the median score.
But I have a league. It is the Scott Fish Bowl. I haven't lost, but I've been under the median. So I'm showing
5-1.
no, I'm showing 4-2 because 2 weeks I was under
2
the
weeks.
median.
Yeah.
What? but I'm undefeated.
Yeah. Well, Jamie's undefeated as well, 5-1 in Scott Fish Bowl. So 1 week he was under the median. And Cody saying, thanks for the reminder. I need to sharpen the blade on the guillotine. Hopefully my big old neck didn't dull it. Game's about to start in about 8 minutes here. Should we get everybody up on out of here?
Yeah.
You have anything else you want to add? You good to go?
Well, good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck. Hopefully you win. We want to tweet us some scores. If you blow somebody out, or if you just have a bad beat where you like lose by 1 or 2, tweet us some scores. We want to see them. That's always kind of fun to see for me. That's all I got. My old fashioned is almost gone. Going once, going twice.
Sold.